Hi students, this is Karimunisa Sayed, Associate Professor in Zoology. Welcome back to session 50, in which we are going to learn histology of pancreas under the zoology paper 4. So when we learn the organization of different types of tissues present specifically in the mammalian pancreas, we are going to definitely appreciate its adaptations, it means structural adaptations to its functions. So first of all, what is pancreas? So pancreas is one of the important organ present in the digestive system of mammals. In humans, especially, it is located in the upper abdominal region, just behind the stomach. And as we all know, it functions primarily as a secretory structure or a gland. But pancreas is a mixed gland or heterocrine gland. That is, it acts both as an endocrine gland and also a exocrine gland. That means it secretes both hormones and also the enzymes. Proceeding further, the word pancreas comes from the Greek, in which pan means all and krias means flesh, meaning all fresh. That means pancreas means fleshy organ. Pancreas, especially in mammals, is light pinkish in color because it is richly supplied with the blood, and it measures about 12 to 15 centimeters long in the humans and also weighs about 60 grams. And as you see here, the anatomy of the pancreas shows three important parts: head, body, and tail. The head of the pancreas lies in the loop of the duodenum, and the tail of the pancreas lies near the hilum of the spleen, that is the concavity of the spleen. And in between the head and tail, we have the body of the pancreas, which lies, as you see here, posterior to the distal portion of the stomach, between the tail and, of course, the head and also the neck of the pancreas. This pancreas also has many pancreatic ducts. These ducts, they are extended throughout the pancreas, as you see here, as they help in the collection and also in the flow and emptying of the pancreatic contents inside the duodenum. The pancreas is covered by a thin layer of connective tissue capsule, which helps in binding the secretory epithelial cells of the pancreas, and also it nourishes and supports the secretory glandular epithelium. This interlobular connective tissue also forms septa or septal projections from the capsule, from the outer covering, into the pancreatic parenchyma. So thereby, the large lobe of pancreas is divided into small secretory structures called the lobules. The parenchyma of each lobe consists of, or the lobule also consists of, lots of still more smaller secretory units called the pancreatic acini. So these pancreatic acini, they form the exocrine part of the pancreas, and in between this parenchyma, exocrine parenchyma, we also see few scattered endocrine areas of the pancreas called islets of Langerhans. So these islets of Langerhans are also covered by a loose, very thin layer of connective tissue or the reticular fiber. So thereby, in the connective tissue, which forms the capsule and also the interlobular septa, we see number of blood vessels, nerves, particularly the Pacinian corpuscle sensory receptors. So coming to the structure of exocrine pancreas or the microanatomy of the pancreas. So as we have seen, the exocrine pancreas is made up of the main secretory units of the pancreas, and the exocrine component of the pancreas makes up to about 98 to 99% of the pancreatic parenchyma. And as you see here, it consists of densely packed acinar cells or the acinar glands. So these acinar glands, they are made up of tubulo-acinar type of epithelial cells. So these are multicellular glandular epithelial cells forming a tubulo-acinar structure. So this tubulo-acinar structure of the glands, acinar glands, gives them a shape of a berry fruit. So thereby the term acinus is used. Acini is plural, acinus is singular. It refers to the cluster of cells which resemble a multi-lobed blackberry fruit. So in Latin, acinus means berry. So these glands are also called pancreatic acini or acinus pancreaticus. Therefore, they form simple secretory multicellular glands or the exocrine glands of the pancreas. So each pancreatic acinus therefore consists of special type of secretory cells called the acinar cells, and each acinar cell is having a pyramidal shape, as they have a broad basal portion near the basement membrane and also a narrow apical surface that surrounds usually the central lumen of the pancreatic acini. So as you see here, these acinar cells, they are secretory cells and also they secrete serous fluid. Serous fluid means more of a liquid fluid which will be having less of mucus but more of secretory juices containing the digestive enzymes. So they produce serous or more watery liquid rich with the digestive enzymes. Therefore, they have lot of endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi apparatus in the cytoplasm. And the cytoplasm is along with the nucleus, as you see here, it is pushed towards the base of the each acinar cell with distinct basophilic cytoplasm and nucleus near the basement membrane. Whereas the acidophilic zymogen granules, they will be found in the apical region of the cells or near the apical poles of this acinar cells. These zymogen granules or large secretory granules in which the acinar cells, they try to store the inactive form of the enzymes called the zymogens or the proenzymes. These proenzymes, they get activated once they reach the duodenum. So upon the stimulation, whenever the pancreas receives its stimulation, the zymogens are activated and the acinar cells, they release their secretions by means of exocytosis. So during the exocytosis, these granules, zymogen granules, they merge with the cell membrane and expel their contents into the lumen of the acinus. So with that, we have completed the structure of exocrine glands or the acinar glands of the pancreas. So these secretions of the acinar cells, they are carried through the duct system of the pancreas. So the duct system of the pancreas, therefore, leaves the each and every acinar gland. As you see here, the lumen of the acinar gland is in continuous with the intercalated duct. So thereby the pancreatic secretions leave the acini via the intercalated duct. So the intercalated duct is a short duct with a small lumen, as you see here, which starts within each and every acini. The intra-acinar portion of the intercalated duct is lined by simple squamous epithelial cells called centroacinar cells. These cells are slightly flat, which indicates the beginning of the duct system of the exocrine pancreas. So these pancreatic duct cells, they contain a centrally placed flat nucleus because these cells are squamous epithelial cells and they appear slightly light in color when compared to the acinar cells when we stain with the hematoxylin and the normal using stain. So thereby the centroacinar cells, they also continue in the form of a simple low cuboidal duct cells, are the cells of the intercalated duct in the extraacinar portion. So these intercalated ducts extend beyond the acinus. So therefore, the intercalated ducts from group of acini, they join together to form intralobular ducts. So the intercalated ducts, they drain into intralobular ducts within the lobule connecting the groups of acini. These are also lined by simple low columnar epithelial cells, and in turn all these intralobular ducts, they join and they flow into the larger interlobular ducts. These interlobular ducts, they connect groups of lobules within the interlobular connective tissue septa, as you see here. They run within the connective tissue septa. So these are also lined by low columnar epithelium that becomes taller and more stratified as the size of the ducts increases. So the interlobular ducts, they drain into the main pancreatic duct, which is also called the duct of Wirsung. Sometimes before forming the duct of Wirsung, there may be formation of accessory pancreatic ducts called the ducts of Santoroni. So all these ducts are lined by high columnar epithelial cells, so that are also stratified wherever these ducts are quite thick. So the main pancreatic duct, as you see here, it travels from the tail towards the head of the pancreas, collecting the secretions from all the interlobular ducts all along its way. Finally, it merges with the gallbladder's common bile duct to form hepatopancreatic duct, forming ampulla region or the ampulla of water, which empties its secretions into the descending part of the duodenum, as you see here, in the region of major duodenal papilla. So this papilla is surrounded by a thick layer of smooth muscles forming sphincter of ampulla. So this sphincter of ampulla is also called hepatopancreatic sphincter of Oddi, which regulates or which controls the flow of both pancreatic secretions and also the bile into the duodenum. So with that, we have finished with the exocrine secretions of the pancreas. Now we'll proceed with the endocrine part of the pancreas. So the endocrine portion of the pancreas is called islets of Langerhans that makes and also secretes hormones like insulin, glucagon, somatostatin, pancreatic polypeptide into the blood. So the islets, they comprise 1 to 2% of pancreatic mass. So that means very few islets of Langerhans are found when compared to the exocrine pancreatic acini. And they form only 1 to 2 million pancreatic cells or the pancreatic islets of Langerhans cells. And these islets of Langerhans are highly dispersed. That means they are not regularly arranged, but the number is usually located more in the tail region of the pancreas. But they are found dispersed throughout the exocrine components of the pancreas. And we'll be able to differentiate or demarcate the islets of Langerhans from the rest of the parenchyma by a delicate sheath of connective tissue called reticular fibrous connective tissue layer. So these pancreatic islets are also more or less spherical in shape, and they are made up of clusters of groups of polygonal endocrine cells. So when we go for usual hematoxylin and eosin stained histological slide of pancreas, we see that the islets of Langerhans, they appear as large, pale staining cells. They are little light in color and the cells are larger than the acinar cells. And they are also enveloped by intensely stained, as you see here, the basophilic pancreatic acini. The cells of islets are connected to each other with desmosomes and gap junctions, forming bands or cords of cells. Cords of cells means you can see rows of cells, branched rows of cells. So the cells, they also show special junctions, cell junctions. The pancreatic islets are permeated by many fenestrated capillaries, that means blood capillaries in between these cords of cells will help in the quick entry of pancreatic hormones into the blood. So thereby in between the cords of cells of islets of Langerhans, we have a lot of blood capillaries. So when we proceed further, these islets of Langerhans are made up of four types of cells. Beta cells are the first type of cells, which are large in number. These beta cells, they secrete insulin, as we all know, and they constitute about 70% of islets of Langerhans. And these cells are largely located in the central part of the islets of Langerhans. And B cells also contain many secretory granules which possess dark central nucleus and also crystallized insulin granules. Apart from this beta cells, we also see alpha cells. These alpha cells, they secrete glucagon, but they are few in number. That means they constitute only 15 to 20% of islets of Langerhans, but they are usually larger than the beta cells. And they are most commonly located in the peripheral region of the islets of Langerhans. And their granules are more uniform in size, and they also have a large dark central nucleus, and the granules are filled with the glucagon. So apart from this alpha and beta cells, we also see delta cells. These delta cells, they secrete the somatostatin, that is another type of hormone, and these cells are again very few in number. They constitute only 5 to 10% of islets of Langerhans, and these cells are located diffusely throughout the islets, but most commonly again in the peripheral region. The D cells also contain large secretory granules when compared to the alpha and beta cells. Then the fourth type of cells are called the PP cells, or pancreatic polypeptide cells. These cells secrete the pancreatic polypeptide hormone, and they are very, very few. They constitute less than 5% of the islets of Langerhans. They are mostly located in the head of the pancreas. So here in this picture, we will be able to see the various types of cells like alpha, beta cells. This picture is developed by treating the section of pancreas with the fluorescent antibodies to show the location of the different types of cells in the pancreatic islets. So here the section has been treated with the antibodies. So the antibodies against the glucagon are used. So thereby they go and bind to the alpha cells. So red color cells indicate the alpha cells which are in the peripheral position of the islets of Langerhans. Similarly, the antibodies against the insulin are also used to treat the pancreatic section. So here, just because the beta cells, they secrete the insulin, the antibodies will go and bind to the beta cells of the islets of Langerhans. And as you see here, the blue color cells, they indicate the beta cells, and they are more in number, and they are widespread, and they are usually centrally located. So with that, we have completed the histological details or microanatomy of the pancreas. Now quickly we'll go through some of the functions of the pancreas. As an endocrine gland, it functions mostly to regulate the blood glucose level, as it secretes the hormones like insulin, glucagon, and somatostatin along with the pancreatic polypeptide. Apart from these hormones, pancreas also secretes lot of enzymes. So thereby it also functions as a exocrine gland. And All these pancreatic juices, they also will be poured into the duodenum. So thereby the pancreatic secretions, as they also have bicarbonates, they help in the neutralization of the food which enters the duodenum from the stomach, and also the digestive enzymes. They have all the enzymes like trypsin, chymotrypsin, pancreatic amylase or stiapsin, along with the pancreatic lipase. So thereby the pancreatic juices help in the breakdown of all the types of food materials like carbohydrates, proteins, fats that enter the duodenum from the stomach. So with that, we have completed the study of microanatomy of pancreas. I am sure now you have learned that pancreas has its own unique histological organization which helps the mammals in the digestion of varieties of food materials and also in the regulation of glucose in the body of animals. With that, we have come to the end of today's session. These are some of the references for our future studies. Thank you.